Hi everyone, and welcome to a board wrap-up for the month of October 2011. As the Board of Education gathered to meet for the October board meeting, we've got Superintendent Dr. David Pennington with us to talk with constituents about that meeting and about anything else he wants to discuss. And October's a good month because it's fall break month, and I'm sure everybody could use a little break right now.
I think everybody's ready. We've had a really a great start to the school year. We've got 9 weeks under our belt, and we're ready for a break.
Absolutely. Now let's go to the board meeting, where I know we've got one position on our Board of Education that's going to be up for election in February of next year.
Yes, I believe the seat number is number 5, and that is Deb Herman's seat. And if you think about the area that is that's west of Union Avenue, and actually goes all the way to South Avenue, and then it's kind of funny. It kind of bends around if you were to go down 4th Street, and the area that's between South Avenue and 4th Street, that's north of Madison, that's in a different district, but everything south of Madison from 4th all the way over to 14th is actually in District 5. So basically, we tend to think of that as the Lincoln area, the Lincoln seat, but it actually includes part of the area that serves that students attend Garfield School. The area out in Ranch Drive, that's also a part of this area. So it's a big area, and it's an area that's not, like I say, it's kind of funny shape. But anyway, that's the seat that's open. Ms. Herman has indicated that, at least as of right now, she does not intend to run again. Of course, that can change. So we're going to be looking for somebody to sit in that seat. I think probably, depending upon who comes forward, who indicates their willingness to serve, I think that probably may have an influence on what she does, just in case somebody doesn't serve. I mean, I don't think, I think, again, Deb's preference would be that somebody else and step up and serve in that spot. 5 years is a long time. It's 60 months, 60 meetings, probably in that time period another 10 additional special meetings, and that's a big commitment for somebody. And I appreciate anybody that's willing to step up and to serve our community in that capacity.
That's what these terms are. This will be from 2012 to 2017, and so it is a great commitment. Filing period is in December, and then a runoff if necessary after the general election. And you'll be hearing more about that as we get closer to that date. 5-person board, though. Everything seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, it's it's kind of interesting. We kind of have a transition now in that Deb is the only current member of the board, and has been for the last several years, that actually has children in our school system. Mm-hmm. When Don Newsom first ran for the board, both his children were attending Ponca City Schools. They've since graduated from high school and gone on to college, and graduated from college, and his daughter is a doctor, his son's an attorney. David Kincaid and Judy Troop have grandchildren in our schools, and so that gives them a different perspective. And Sam Downs has kind of, as he likes to say, has kind of adopted some kids in his neighborhood that are his connection to our school system. I think there's value in having board members who have children in school. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons why people decide to serve on a board. What I would say to anybody that's watching this that thinks they'd like to serve, we appreciate anybody that wants to do that. But the thing they need to understand is that the board, you're only a board member during board meetings. The rest of the time you're a regular citizen. Board members don't They don't fire teachers. They don't fire coaches. You know, sometimes you'll hear that somebody wants to run on the board because they want to replace the basketball coach or whatever. And it's awful. It doesn't mean that one person in some circumstances can't get that done, but it is a team effort, and there are very strict in Oklahoma legal guidelines on the responsibilities of the board, the responsibilities of the superintendent, how that works. You know, the main function of the board is to make policy. That's what they do. They make policy, and then it's up to us as the administrative staff to follow that policy. And again, it's a great opportunity to affect the life of kids, because we have a lot of initiatives. We have a lot of major decisions to make in the near future. We're having discussions about bond issues and you know what we do as far as our facilities is extremely important. And again, we're looking for, the community needs somebody who wants to serve Ponca City and serve its kids. And if we can find that person, I think they'll have a great time on our board.
You addressed some enrollment figures that you wanted to discuss with our patrons last night.
Well, the main thing is we're up, you know, and man, anytime your numbers are up and they're still up in October, you feel good, because our funding is based on the number of kids that we have. And we've been in the 8 years I've been here, typically we've always, you know, if you look at where we've leveled out the last few years, but we haven't had a lot of growth. And we were actually up 110 students from October 1st, 2010 to October 3rd, 2011, which is the first Monday in October. And so those are positive numbers. That should generate us some midterm funding, which we need because we've had to hire additional staff. We've had to hire more staff than we planned on when we ended school in May. While those 100 kids aren't all in one spot, they do affect, you know, different classrooms, and they affect the way we operate. You know, about 20% of our population in this district is special education, so of these 110 kids, there's a significant portion that are special ed, and those classrooms are, you know, kind of at the brink anyway. We try very hard when we make staffing decisions each summer. We try to make sure that we have full classes. Obviously, because of the state funding situation we've had the last couple of years, as we've had individuals leave our district either to retirement or taking a job someplace else, there's a lot of staff positions we haven't replaced, and so our class size is even higher than it normally is. So this additional money, assuming that it comes, will be greatly appreciated. We don't have any idea how much it'll be. You know, we now have the raw ADM. Now we actually will do what we call a weighting process. Each student, depending upon their grade level and some other characteristics, have additional weights. And so an enrollment of 5,200 kids may end up being a weighted ADM of 8,000 kids by the time you add the special factors in. So it will be interesting to see where we turn out, but we would anticipate that we would have a midterm adjustment. Then the way that works is when the legislature makes their allocation each year to the State Department of Education, since the late 90s, the state has set a certain percentage of that aside to redistribute in December. What happens is that we'll go all throughout the state, they'll do these calculations, and they'll run the funding formula again based upon the new enrollment numbers. If your enrollment is less in October than it was in May, you'll be funded as if you have those May kids in your school. But if your enrollment's more in October than it was in May, then your allocation will be based upon your October numbers. And so hopefully the state set enough money aside so that as we look at growth all across the state of Oklahoma, we can pay for these extra students. And typically that happens. I haven't heard any numbers. I know I've talked to some other superintendents across the state, and it seems like the suburban areas are maybe not growing as much as they have in the last few years. And some districts that have been growing 400 or 500 kids a year haven't had that kind of growth this year. So hopefully we'll have a significant amount of additional money available, and we'll have some extra money to help pay for the folks we've hired. If we don't, that just means our carryover will be less next year, which affects the way we do staff and things for 2011, 2012.
Let's stay with the Board of Education meeting. I have a couple of other things, but anything else significant happen that in the next several weeks before we do this again, you wanted your constituents to have information?
We had a group of students that made a presentation about a voice project, and we have a group that we've worked with that's helped us with our one-to-one initiative, and one of the individuals in that group also works with a group called Student Voice, and it works with in California they work with Hispanic students. They specifically came to put this program together for our Native American students, and it's to help those students come together and find their voice, to establish their identity, and to interact not only with themselves but also with the administration of the school, and to kind of represent their point of view. We just started this project. We had a group of kids that attended, and we had a group of high school students that came and made a presentation to the board, and they talked about what they learned from that, and how they intend to mentor younger students coming to the high school so that they can kind of get started on the right foot and have a chance to be successful in our schools.
Outstanding. A couple of other things before we let you go. Where do we stand on teacher retirement funding with the state of Oklahoma? It seemed like we got some good news recently about that.
Well, what we did, the retirement system, because of some changes made in legislation, every year we get a report about this time of year that tells us how unfunded we are and how many years it's going to take us to get funded. And it's usually out there so far in the future, you can't even think about it. But because of some changes made to the retirement system last year by the legislature, we will, assuming that revenues stay the way they are, that we will be actuarially sound in 20 years. And that's really good news, and that really changes the discussion in Oklahoma as far as bond ratings and those kinds of things. And the change the legislature made was the major change, is in the past, the legislature would grant a cost of living adjustment to retirees, but the retirement system would have to pay it. And what the new law says is if the legislature grants a cost of living increase, they have to provide the money for it. Now, of course, one concern would be for retirees is that we'll never get a cost of living increase. But what I think will happen is that the legislature will appropriate money to the retirement system to pay for that increase. So, for example, let's say that a 2% cost of living increase were to cost $100 million. What will happen is the legislature will appropriate $100 million to the teacher retirement system, and that will cover the cost of that COLA. Of course, they'll take the money, they'll invest it, they'll do things to build income. So I think it's a good deal.
Right. The last time we visited in September, we were talking about a new fine arts, performing arts center, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just wondered if there was any information or any more discussions that our listeners and our viewers might be able to.
Not really much change from last month. We are continuing to look at the bond proposal that we can put together. The issue that we have, and in some regards it's a self-inflicted issue. We made a commitment several years ago to keep our mill levy at 22 mills for the sinking fund. That way we can go to the voters of this community and ask for projects and it not be a tax increase. When you do that, that limits the amount of money you have to spend at any one time. Obviously, the way that we keep that from being a tax increase is that when we put bond projects together, we're retiring a set of bonds and issuing a new set of bonds. what that means is because the Performing Arts Center is so expensive, we'll have to group several years of bonds together in order to come up with enough money to build that project. It just happens to be, it's one of those quirks that in 2013 we'll have $5 million of bond money available, but in 2014 we only have $1 million. And after that we get into numbers of $7 million, $8 million, $9 million. So we've got a little, there's kind of a little glitch there that we're trying to decide if the best course of action is to come back with a smaller project and then come back for the Performing Arts Center in a couple of years. So, you know, those are kind of internal debates, and we'll bring several proposals to the board, let them see what we need to do. You know, if we were willing to increase the mill levy and be like Jinx, Sand Springs, Union, Broken Arrow, Yukon, Mustang, some of our peer school districts, we could move faster on this project. And you kind of have to weigh that. You have to weigh whether or not you think there's enough support that would allow you to pass a tax increase to build something like a Performing Arts Center, or does that hurt you, especially with the economy and some of the attitudes that we just kind of have in public in general about taxes and spending. And I think it's worked for us. I think the 22 mil cap has been very effective for us. Do I wish it were 25 mils? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, because that would mean, because we have a lot of needs. And again, the Performing Arts Center eats up a lot of money. But that's just the reality. Whether if we'd have built it 10 years ago, it would have taken a lot of money. If we don't wait and build it for 10 more years, it will take even that much more money. It's a big project. It's more expensive to build a Performing Arts Center than it was to build Garfield Elementary School. It's just one of those odd things about that kind of building and what it takes to put it together, because of the special things you have to have inside of it in order for us to perform.
You are the superintendent of a fine school district, Dr. Pennington, 2 National Merit semifinalists, a cheerleading squad that finished 3rd in the state, a band that just received a superior rating, a softball team that won 21 games. There's a lot of good news out there.
You know, it's bottom line is we live in a day and a time that negative always gets more attention. We have a lot of great kids doing a lot of good things. And you know, I think part of it is we just take that for granted here. We expect to have 2 National Merit Scholars every year. We expect our band to get superior ratings, and sometimes because we've had success, we've had those things happen, we don't celebrate them the way we should. And we don't pause and take that deep breath and say, hey, that's really a good deal. You know, one of the things I kind of forgot about, we talked about state testing last night. This time last year we were talking about that we had 7 schools that did not make adequate yearly progress. This year we only have 1 school that's not making adequate yearly progress. We had tremendous gains in the assessments. But you know, we expect that. The news was last year that we had 7 schools that didn't make AYP. The news that we had only have 1 school make, it's just you know, the negative draws attention, and we have a tendency to take excellence for granted, and that's you know, it's just the reality of where we are and the community that we're in.
Very good. Have a great fall break. We hope you have a great fall break, and we will talk to Dr. Pennington next month on our board wrap-up show.
I'm really pleased to present this award. Let me hand it to her. To Vina Gowdy. Mrs. Gowdy is a role model for her students. Not only is she a true asset to the Business and Information Technology Department at Ponca City High School, but she goes above and beyond the classroom duties to encourage learning and to support others. Kids are her passion, as demonstrated through her role as sponsor of BPA, the Stomp Team, the Afro-American Club, as well as her community work with Addicts Community Alliance, the Juneteenth Rodeo, Masonic Notebooks, and robotics. She offers training to Ponca City High School teachers in technology and strives to better herself by completing CTE certification. She makes a special effort to establish relationships and student benefits. Whenever help is needed, she is there. And Carly Young and I are very pleased that you all selected her as our Certified Employee of the Month. Ms. Gowdy, would you like to say something?
That's wrong. No, just thank everyone for the award, and I thank Diane. And like she says, I really enjoy working with her and Caller. So 7 years, and I've enjoyed it. Thanks.
The award says Donald Edwardson, but it's Mr. Donnie to us. Mr. Donnie is a huge asset to Liberty Elementary. He greets students and staff members each day with a smile. He displays a positive and friendly attitude that makes you feel he genuinely cares about you. Mr. Donnie's job includes many duties that are repetitive, difficult, and not always fun, yet he maintains his upbeat attitude every day. He takes pride in our school being clean and safe for students. Our breakfast and lunch service goes smoothly in part because Mr. Donnie is there helping students through the line, handing out silverware, cleaning up spills, and removing the trash. Another great thing about Mr. Donnie is that he's willing to help solve a problem or fix something even outside of his job duties. Anything that needs done at Liberty, he is happy to do. These many wonderful characteristics make him a great recipient of Support Employee of the Month. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's been my pleasure to go through and know Don and all the work that he has done, because he's done a great job. Don believes in developing the entire person. This can be seen in the myriad of projects that he is involved with in helping our young people. His contributions include member of the Ready by 21 Steering Committee, leader of the Leo Club, community service, setup crew for the Festival of Angels, bell ringer for the Salvation Army, member of the Chamber of Commerce Education Committee. He's initiated a new organization called the Millionaires Club, continues to mentor kids at risk, and participates in Ponca Playhouse. In short, he is always thinking of ways to help out young people. Kent and I are pleased to give this award to Don Jorgensen.